Jabari Sadler, Atlanta, Georgia.
Welcome, Jabari.
Thank you, Chris.
Jose, South Florida.
Welcome, Jose. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you join the call, if you have not already, go ahead and announce yourself. Tell us where you're calling in from.
Derek, Houston, Texas.
Welcome, Derek.
Carla from California.
Welcome, Carla.
Angel Trent, Houston, Texas.
Welcome, Angel.
Tony from Atlanta.
Tony, welcome.
Laura Johnson, South Carolina.
Welcome, Laura.
Algenia, Georgia.
Algenia, welcome. All right, we're about two. Who do we have just joined?
This is Robert Reed, Detroit, Michigan.
Robert, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I think, let's see, Mr. Pacheco, are you ready to get going?
No, I need about 20 more minutes, please.
Welcome, Jenny.
Yeah, we're ready. Let's go.
All right, I'm gonna put someone on a spot here. I'm gonna have Miss Pacheco bring you to the stage because she knows you better than I do. So I'm gonna see if I can't have her bring you to the stage.
Of course. Of course. It is my pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We're excited for you. We're excited for us. I'm excited because every time that I hear this man, which I get the privilege to hear him every day, but when I hear him in this capacity, on the Millionaire Mentorship especially, it is very exciting because this is one of his areas of genius. It is really impartation. And that's when you impart wisdom or an anointing or something onto somebody else, when you can transfer over to somebody else, some of that magic. That's called impartation. And that's what you get to experience today, because when you have someone that has walked the walk, that has fought the battles and has been victorious in it, and we're talking about the battles of poverty, we're talking the battles of just, conformity, we're talking about the battles of all of those struggles that come with entrepreneurship and with really being able to bring your dreams to life and that vision for your life that is really next level. All of those battle scars, they mean something. When someone can actually take the experience and put it into words, what it is that they did, how they did it, how they accomplished it, and can be a very good effective teacher in that is very special. Not everyone can do that. You have a lot of people that can reach very high levels of success and they're top performers, but they aren't necessarily able to translate that into a teaching moment for somebody else. And so it's one thing to gain the wisdom, it's another one to be able to impart that wisdom onto others. And that's what we have today. And I am very proud and I am very privileged to be able to call him my husband, Daniel Pacheco. And you get to hear from him today as he talks to you about from his heart and from his actual experience and how it could be relevant to you today.
Wow. Wow. I don't even know that I can speak now. What? Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Carla. I'm floored by your words, and
Are you going to cry?
you got me a little choked up here. So, love you, babe. Love you. I absolutely adore you. But thank you. Thank you for those words. Set the bar very, very high in the expectations. So, I
Myself.
hope that from your mouth to God's ears, that we could say that little something, that one word, that one phrase, that golden nugget that somebody could take today and actually start the rest of their life from that moment. And I do, and really, this is my favorite call. This is absolutely my favorite call because when we look at the statistics of what it takes to be a millionaire, or really how many millionaires there are around the world or here in the United States, and we kind of look at it from that perspective, it really sets the framework. It sets the visual of knowing what it means to get to that level. And so, folks, that is what we're going to be talking about here today on Millionaire Mentorship. We're going to be looking at this from the perspective of in between millions. So from where you are to your first million. Now, Carla, since you're already on here right now, can you kind of just kind of set the stage here of where this came from? Why is it something that we talk about on a day-to-day with different people, and how this came to be this phrase that has become something that we talk about all the time?
Oh, it's well, there's a lot there's a lot about how it came to be, but this actually the term in between millions, or being in between millions, is a phrase that was birthed during a conversation with a very dear friend of ours that you guys are getting to meet, which is Coach Maurice Katz. We were actually in our kitchen here in this house. He was here visiting, and we were just, kind of talking about different life experience in entrepreneurship, and about when he took a company public, and just kind of how we got to certain moments in our lives. And so he was sharing a little bit about that, and it was a moment when he was talked about, in entrepreneurship you have the peaks and you have the valleys, and he was talking about one of those valleys. And so that valley, that's what we call that the being in between millions, right? And so it was a little bit of I was kind of in between, and we were like in between millions, and he's like, I was in between millions. That's right, because the project that he had been at right before that was in the millions. He had gone public, and then the next project was a multi-million dollar project. So it was phenomenal, but it was that in between stage when he was in between projects. Then sometimes that uncertainty, when you're standing, in the middle of that, it can be a dark place, or it can be, an intimidating place. I think that's the more appropriate word. And so, but when you look at it from that perspective, those valleys, those highs and those lows can be intimidated, they can rock your world. But when you're in between millions, if you look at it from that perspective, hey, you're just in between millions, right? So it brings it a whole different empowerment. It's a different power behind that.
Yeah, and so it actually came from, thank you, Carla. That was phenomenal. And so the phrase came in that in between, from one project to the next, having had it, and now working towards having it again. And Carla and I have been there as well, where we made millions, then we lost, and then we built again. And so we've been there. And every time, I got to tell you that once these setbacks hit, the recovery hasn't been fun. The rebuilding hasn't been fun. However, we've gotten further ahead. It became a breakthrough, actually, to go through those valleys. And so we're going to share some of that here today. But really, in the perspective, now you know where it came from, but from the perspective of today, because I believe that the people that are on here today, the vast majority of the plus 100 people that we have on the call today, may have not gotten to that first million. And so if you're in the chat right now and you're working towards that first million, put a 1 there, or put 9 zeros, or whatever you want to put a 1 and a 9, so that we know I'm not going to make you put a bunch of zeros in there, but put a 1 and a 9 in there, and then I'll know.
Sir, it's 7.
Okay, that's billions. I'm sorry, my mind's somewhere else, guys. Okay, I'm looking at
Billions.
I'm in between billions. I'm sorry, guys. that was hilarious. Okay. Yeah, so 6 zeros. Sorry about that. A 1 and a 6. All right, we're leveling up on this call. We're gonna call this the Billionaire Mentorship call. All righty. Okay, so so most people are going to find themselves in between that space of where they are today, where they are now, and getting to that first million. So that's the perspective that we're gonna be talking about today. But for those of you, because I know there's people here that are now in between having made millions or their first million, and now in between that phase of getting to the next million. I know we have them on here as well. So if you want to put repeat. Just put repeat in the chat. If that resonates with you, just type in repeat for you. Just like the Dodgers repeated this year, we're going to repeat and then we're going to three-peat and we're going to just keep on doing it every single year. And a million is not going to become something that we're trying to get to. It's going to be our floor. That's going to become your base. That's going to become your minimum. That's going to become your floor to then start looking at in between tens of millions, then hundreds of millions, then in between billions. And folks, this is how you need to think about this. So let's now throw, this is an emotional exercise, an emotional conversation that we're having right now, but I want to bring it down and put some logic, put some stats. Let's see what we're up against here, right? What does it look like, the millionaire landscape? And so the rarity and reality of millionaires, okay? The rarity and reality of millionaires. On the global stage, there are approximately 58 million millionaires worldwide. So only 1.5% of adults, okay? Only 1.5% of adults will ever achieve $1 million in assets. Now, I am speaking of outside your primary home. I'm speaking outside of your primary principal residence to have assets and liquid cash outside of that equate to $1 million. In the United States, 23.7 million when including home value. So if you're including home value into that number of personal wealth, then it's about 23.7 million millionaires in the United States. Now, think about this for a second. 58 million millionaires worldwide, 23.7 million in the US, even though you're including home value, okay? That's almost half, okay? That's just shy of half of all of the millionaires in the world are here in the United States. Does that add to the possibility of you achieving it? Does that number add to the possibility of you achieving it? Let's see in the chat. What do you guys think? In other words, is it better to live in the United States, regardless of all the issues that we live with on a day-to-day, regardless of the economy, regardless of politics, regardless of government, regardless of anything that's going on that shapes our perception and our worldview of where we live in, statistically, is it better to live in the United States to achieve that goal, yes or no? In the chat. Yes. Okay. Just want to make sure that you guys are understanding what I'm saying. Now, let's take it even further. So excluding home, only 14.5 million per household in the United States. Okay? So 1.5% worldwide and about 5% of adults in the United States, excluding your home, that's about 11% of U.S. households. So
Wow.
You're going to be either in that 1.5 or you're going to be in that 5%. Okay, this is important, guys, because you need to understand what we're talking about. If you really get on these calls to get something out of these calls, out of these Zooms, it is because you want to become the elite of the elite. See, if we were in a race, you would be in the Olympics. You would be an athlete to get to this level. Does that make sense? So what it means, folks, is that becoming a millionaire, this is the golden nugget right here. Becoming a millionaire will not change you. You will still be you. Flaws, warts and all, you will be you. Your strengths your weaknesses will still be there. Hopefully, less weaknesses, because it takes a certain someone to get to the status. It's not for everybody. It really isn't for everybody, guys. You become part of the elite. In other words, it will not change who you are. It makes you rare. It makes you exclusive. It separates you from el montón, we say in Spanish. Te separa del montón, which means loosely. It separates you from the common. That's basically how it translates. And so if you don't want to be common, if good enough is not good enough, and you want to be part of the rarity, that exclusive world of millionaires, you're either in the 1.5 or the 5%, depending on where you live. But here's what I want you to walk away from this line, is that if you live here, your chances automatically to get to that goal as far as the rest of the world goes up by 50%. Isn't that powerful? All right. So now let's talk a little bit about millionaire thinking before millionaire money. Because here's what's going to happen, guys. You have to challenge on your thinking, on what's in here. And I remember our first mentor. He built a network marketing company that broke all the records. He built a 1 million-man army in 18 months and paid the most money to the most people in the shortest period of time in the history of our industry. And that was our first mentor. And he would always say these words, and I don't know who he took it from. I'm sure he took it from somebody else. He used to say two things: stinking thinking, and I didn't like that one. I don't know. But stinking thinking, I don't like the word stink. I'm kind of a germaphobe and just smells But anyway, stinking thinking is one of the things that he would say. And the other one is you have to get a checkup from the neck up. So today, I want you to take a checkup or get a checkup from the neck up, okay? Because the problem, guys, is always between your ears. The problem is always between your ears. That's why Jesus over and over and over ago in scripture says, he who has ears, hear. Right? Because all the limiting beliefs and all the self-talk that we tell ourselves and the excuses that we give ourselves and all those things, it always comes because somebody's talking. It's who we're listening to. What are we listening to? What are the voices saying? I don't mean voices like in a weird way, right? I'm talking about who are you listening to? What are you immersing your life in that you're paying attention? And that's why I say, get a checkup from the neck up, because it all starts in your thinking. So if you want to be a millionaire, you have to think differently, right? You have to think like the 1.5. Now, and that's where it starts. You have to think. Your thoughts have to be there, right? Because whatever we think and then whatever we believe is what we can actually achieve. It starts in your thought life. It starts in your thought patterns. It's what we are thinking. What are we immersing ourselves in? So millionaire thinking before millionaire money. Your mindset creates your milestone. Your mindset creates your milestone. Now let's break that down a little bit. Okay. So in your mind today, I don't want you to be like, you're not waiting to have 1 million. You don't have to wait to have that first million. You have to become the kind of person that attracts that million to you. I know it sounds weird, but I said it before. If you were on the Saturday corporate call, I said, we attract who we become. We attract who we become. Don't wait to have 1 million. Become the kind of person who attracts it. So let's look at that. What type of person becomes a millionaire? What type of person becomes a millionaire? Let's see in the chat. Let's see what you guys think. What type of person becomes a millionaire? That's the question. How do we become? Well, before we can become, we have to identify. We have to identify what are those qualities. So what do you have to become in order to be a millionaire? Oh, I like it. All of these are good. All of these are good. Yeah, that's my favorite right there. Coachable. Coachable. Absolutely. Takes massive action. Absolutely. There we go. Mindset. It's right there, right? It's the mindset. It's what we're thinking about. So we have to become the type of person that has a bulletproof mindset. And in fact, I think that's a video series that Mr. Jason Rangel has a whole training about it. And I don't know if it's in our back office, but if you want, that's a phenomenal training, Bulletproof Mindset by Mr. Jason Rangel. He put together an amazing training, bulletproof, right? Why is it bulletproof? Because we're going to ignore the rejection and we're going to ignore the lies and we're not going to buy into the excuses. And when we're not going to buy into these things that people say, like myself, right? When I give an excuse, this is what I say. I don't give excuses. I do not give excuses. I only give reasons. Right? So, but it's just an excuse, right? So that is the bulletproof mindset. You know, we don't allow those bullets of rejection, those bullets of lies, those bullets of limiting limiting beliefs to just penetrate our thought process, penetrate our thinking. All right. Shift your thinking and speaking. And this is such an important thing, guys. This is such an important thing. Shift your thinking and speaking from if to when. Not just in thinking. Notice that here we changed it also. It's not just about thinking, it's what we speak, right? It's what we speak. So now, if we're talking about millions, it's not if, it's when. Not if, when. These are subtle things, guys, but they're powerful. The million meets you at your level of maturity, not motivation. And I've taught on this many, many times, folks. Motivation, I don't believe in it. I believe it exists, but I don't believe that motivation is what actually gets you to your million. Okay? And definitely the maturity has to be there. And so let me say it this way. Let's say that you are already, I want you to close your eyes, or don't close your eyes, or keep them open, whatever. But I want you to think in your mind that you are already not just a millionaire, guys, okay? A multi-millionaire, okay? This should be really the multi-million-dollar mentorship, right? Because a million, if you're in certain parts of the United States, a million isn't going to get you very far. It just isn't. If you're out here in Ventura County, or you're out here in, you know, Beverly Hills, or you're in Newport, a million is just not what it is or what it used to be. Okay, so let's call this the multiple million mentorship call. But imagine that you're already there, right? You're past that first million. You have enough money to retire, and now you're considering leaving your inheritance to somebody else. And let's say you have a child that's, 10 years old. So my question to you, can you entrust that wealth? Can you entrust that to a 10-year-old? Your houses, your cars, your jewelry, your stocks, your rentals, your whatever it is. Can you entrust that to a 10-year-old? Let's see here. Who would entrust it to that 10-year-old? Nope. Nope. Okay, exactly. No, you would not. Right? Why? Because they have not reached that maturity. And so the same thing with you here today, that if you're in between millions, there's a level of maturity that you need to attain in order to be able to be the kind of person that can hold wealth. That can hold wealth. Right? We want the position, but we don't want the process. Right? So we're always in that struggle of position or promise versus the process. And you only get to maturity by growth and process. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next couple of slides. Motivation won't get you won't get you there. And I've said this before. I believe in motive action, not motivation. Motive action. If the motive, the why, is strong enough, why I want it, then it'll prompt the action, right? If the so motive action can get you there. But I'd rather replace that whole thing and call it this: the difference between motivation and inspiration. My hope here today is that you leave here inspired, not motivated. Because motivated will get you to the first challenge. It'll get you to the first obstacle. It'll get you to the first no. It'll get you to the first spouse that tells you you're crazy. It'll get you to the first whatever. But when the challenge comes, you'll wither. I'll give you an example. I've joined gyms my entire life. Okay? Been motivated to join many gyms. I've been a member of LA Fitness, 24-hour Fitness, LA Fitness. I'm currently a member of LA Fitness. I currently, and I'm going to be embarrassed right now if my coach is on this call. I'm not going to tell you anything because I don't want Pete Abraham to jump on here and start talking about my lack of inspiration when it comes to him coming to my house 3 times a week to train me. And he's winding up training my son because I was motivated to say, yes, come and train me. I was motivated to tell him, yes, come in. Come and, take my measurements and we'll set a goal and all this stuff. And then I haven't followed through. So I'm guilty, guys. I am guilty of this in this area. In this area, I've been undisciplined. Okay? And guess what? I still can't, I remember when we were in junior high, there was this one guy that could bench like 200 pounds or whatever it was. And I always said, one day I'm going to be able to do that. Well, guess what? That day is still not here. Why? Because I've been motivated plenty of times to join the gym, but I haven't been inspired to follow through. I haven't reached that level of maturity to be able to follow through on exercising. Okay? Just saying the word exercise already makes me feel some kind of a way. But do you guys understand this? You got to get to that level of maturity. If you're not able to handle the money, guess what, guys? It's not going to come to you. It's not going to come to you because you're not ready. You're not ready. That's why this mentality of going and buying lotto tickets and all of that, guess what? When they win that money, 9 out of 10 times they lose it right away, just as fast as they got it, because they didn't work towards it. They didn't have the maturity level to be able to hold on to it. So it's about maturity, not motivation. Okay. Focus on value creation over effort. Okay. How can you create value? How can you create value versus your own personal effort? Now, don't get me wrong. The effort has to be there, but the focus of the effort should be backed up by creating value. Okay. And that's why I love what we do here at BYLD, is because we absolutely believe in creating value. We believe in that's one of our cornerstone principles of creating value. That's it. That's our CEO, Mr. Wences Navarro, our president, Mr. Jason Rangel. When they got together, they said, hey, we're going to create value. We're going to create a legacy company. We're going to create something that people that come are going to be proud of, and they would be insane if they canceled their membership. That's part of their core value, creating value over effort. Doesn't mean, don't read into this as there is no effort. There has to be effort, but your first goal, your focus should be creating value. That's why when I have conversations with people, folks, recently had a conversation with a young lady, and I said, look, I believe in trading. Trading has changed my life dramatically. And I could give you testimonies of that, if you guys want to know. But the reality is this, that I believe in trading so much, the skill, listen to this, the skill, I believe in it so much that if somebody could not learn here, I would still want them to learn, even if they had to learn somewhere else. If we're not a good fit to you, Go learn this skill somewhere else, but learn it because it can unlock wealth for you, for your family, for your children, for your generations. That's how much I believe in what we have, guys. That even if somebody chose not to be here, I would still want them to learn it because I know what it can do for their lives. I know what it's done for mine. So, continue on. Here's the golden nugget from this slide, guys. You don't get paid by the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to that hour. You don't get paid by the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to that hour. So how can you enrich somebody else's life? What can you share? What skill? What advice? What follow through can you create in somebody else's life? It's not you focused, it's value focused. It's not focused on you, it's focused on somebody else. And that's why motivation, folks, I believe it really doesn't really get you there because motivation are external factors that are trying to get you to do something, a goal, accomplish something, right? But they're external factors. Inspiration comes from within, right? So figure out how you can go inspire other people. Every hour that you're working with, how can I inspire this person? I don't want to motivate. I want them inspired. I want them on fire. Right? It comes from the Latin in spiritu, right? Spirit, right? That's where the word comes from. It's within. And we want to be able to tap into that. All right. So let's move forward here. The process and the equation. There's that word. Some people hate that word, the process, but it's absolutely necessary. Okay, so the path between now and your first million, there has to be a process and an equation to get there. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Process over pressure. I want you to, if you're taking notes, you could replace the word pressure, okay, with the word promise or position. Promise or pressure is fine. But process over pressure or process over position or process over promise. Build $1 million days, one action daily that multiplies value, skill, or connection. In other words, every day, and I would dare say, do all three. What can I do that is going to multiply value for somebody else? What can I do in terms of learning or perfecting my current skill set? Connection. Who can I tap? Whose resource or training or connections can I tap into? What are the resources around me that I could tap into? Who can I connect with? If I have to say, I've never seen anybody do it better. Honestly, God, I've never seen it done better than Mr. Wences Navarro. Mr. Wences Navarro is a connector. And you know the beauty of what he does, the genius of what he does, is that he's never self-serving. He will connect you. If you come with a need and you're within his sphere of influence, if you have access to Mr. Navarro, if you are one of those people that could come into his sphere of influence and are close to him, he has a wealth of invaluable resources that he will freely give. Now, I'm not doing a commercial. I'm not telling you to go, hey, go call him. Can you help me here? No. That's not what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. If you have been able to penetrate that sphere of influence, okay, and you're there, and if you're there, you know who you are. If you're not there, then you know it's not you. But if you're in that sphere of influence, you know that at any given moment, you need a resource, you call him, hey, I'm looking for this, and that. He's going to connect you because his resources extend incredibly. He knows everybody, and everybody loves him. I have yet to meet anybody that speaks ill of Mr. Navarro. I told you the last time. I knew this guy, he knew me. We known each other for years. That doesn't mean anything. I wanted to buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoin from this guy, and he wanted $100,000 from me in cash, and I wanted his Bitcoin. But there was a problem. We didn't trust each other, but we both trusted Mr. Navarro, and he was the escrow. So this is what I'm trying to say. That multiplies somebody else's value. You see what I'm saying? That multiplies value, that connection, right? So what connections do you have that you can tap into? And what skills do you have to acquire? See, here's the thing. We all hear me out, guys. Hear me out. I'm gonna tell you something that when I heard it for the first time, it just kind of floored me. Nobody fails for lack of desire. They fail for lack of discipline. Nobody fails for lack of desire. They fail for lack of discipline. And to learn a new skill takes discipline. You may have the desire. See, I have the desire to have a six-pack. I have the desire. There's no lack of desire. There's lack of discipline. Ouch, ouch. I know these words are hitting somebody right now. If these words are hitting you right now, please put a D in the chat. So remember that, guys. The first time I heard it, it floored me. We don't fail for lack of desire. We fail for lack of discipline. So in that skill, right, that you need to learn, that you need to acquire, that you need to get you to the next level, it takes discipline. It takes discipline to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to get on Lex's call this morning. And I couldn't get on because I woke up at the right time. I was disciplined. But then my phone had no battery and I couldn't find the charger and everybody was asleep and I didn't want to make noise. And I'm after learning how to trade options. But I'm full of, what's that?
You have your own office.
Excuse me? What?
No. Reasons. Got it. It was no excuses. It was
I don't give excuses. I only give reasons. I never give excuses. Right, April? You know that. I never give excuses. I just give reasons. But that skill, I'm telling you guys, if you make the time to learn this skill, it will dramatically change. Do you have to wake up early? Yes. Do you have to learn a new language? Yes. Do you have to go from calling up and down or buy and sell to calls and puts? And do you need to learn a new language? Yes. Do you have to learn how to chart and what candles mean? Yes. It's the process, right? It's that discipline to learn that skill. If your desire is to learn how to trade, guess what? You're not going to fail for the lack of desire. You're going to fail for lack of discipline. Okay. Well, there it is. So focus on discipline over desire. Focus on discipline over desire. All right. So here's a golden nugget, folks. Here's a golden nugget. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. So I want to share a couple of thoughts here. Because I want you to really understand what this golden nugget means. It means that your outcomes are not determined by your intentions. Your outcomes are not determined by your intentions. And I guess you've heard that saying. I don't know if you heard it or not, but they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So intentions have nothing to do with it. But by your daily structures and habits, no matter how ambitious your goals are, you will always default to the level of preparation, discipline, and systems you have built. Goals set the direction. Systems determine the progress. Ciao. Man, this is good stuff.
One more time.
Goals set direction. Systems determine progress. Motivation fades. We talked about that. Motivation fades. Structure sustains. So what this means, folks, is that, we could have a goal and we could have a desire to achieve it. But once, sometimes it just becomes words, right? It's like, yeah, I'm going to be a millionaire someday. Okay. All right. That's a goal. But it doesn't really mean anything anymore because it seems so far out of reach. Why? Because there's no process in place. There's no plan. There's no system. There's nothing to sustain that desire. There's nothing to sustain. There's no inspiration. The inspiration is going to take you through the system, through the discipline, through the practice, through the skills, to learning, to perfecting. It's not going to happen. So you have to have those systems in place in order to be able to achieve your goals. Jim Rohn said it best. And I think I have him here somewhere in one of the next slides. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but this really reminds me of the last little golden nugget that we're going to talk about here. But that's the first part. Okay, so we're talking about the process, right? The process is you got to do the right actions daily, right? You have to have the right thinking. You got to think like millionaires. We got to do the actions that millionaires do. And millionaires, what do? They multiply value, they learn skills, and they're all about connection. Right? So, and we're gonna focus on the discipline, not the desire. But now, let's take a look at the wealth equation. Okay. So over on the left side is skill, scale, and stewardship. Skill, scale, and stewardship. The 3 S's. Now, when we're talking about skill, this is what you need to figure out. You have to acquire a skill of something valuable. You have to acquire the skill of something valuable that you can do or teach. Okay? So in the skills column, we're going to learn a skill that is valuable. Now, is trading valuable? Let's see in the chat. Is trading valuable? Okay, it's valuable. It's so amazing because I've said it before. My daughters are learning how to trade, and we were having a conversation yesterday with my daughter Dulce. I don't know if she's on tonight, but she was saying she had a conversation with one of her friends, and they've been talking back and forth. The guy had shown some interest, and but kind of dodging her, and then she kind of got fed up, and she's like, "Hey, look, this is valuable. We got people making money every day. And this is what I'm doing. I'm making money as well, right? And so do you really, knowing how, and she's like, oh my God, there's so much value in this membership that you just have to see it. Are you going to tell me that an entire week, you can't give me a time or a day where you could set aside 45 minutes to an hour max to learn how you can learn a skill that could change your life? I mean, this is what my 20-year-old is saying to some guy about trading. Because she sees the value. And she's learning something valuable. She had a conversation with somebody at church telling her, what do you do? They asked her, what do you do? Well, I trade. I'm an options, I'm learning how to trade options. Oh, really? How long have you been doing that? Oh, for about 4 months. I've been trading live for the last 2. Okay. And the lady goes, and then she says, and I could teach you. And the lady said, oh, no. I'm too old. I'm whatever her excuse or excuse was, or whatever reason it was. And she said, can I just give you the money? See, now learning a skill like this makes you dependent. It makes you dependent on what the bank can give you. Makes you dependent on what your 401k can give you. Makes you dependent on what your boss can give you. It makes you dependent on other people. Don't you want independence? Don't you want don't you want freedom?
Quick thing. What did she say? Now what is she interested in learning?
Well, I told, and she goes, and I go, well, yeah, I guess. And then she had heard me talk about prop firms, and she had heard me talk that, they split 90-10, and the trader gets 90. And this is my 20-year-old. I'm so proud of her. We're having this conversation, and she tells this person at church, well, if you give it to me, usually the split is 90-10. I keep 90 and I give you 10. But I wouldn't do that to you. I'll do 60-40. So
And now she wants to
I'm just,
so now she
I'm
wants
just,
to start her own
I'm just,
fund.
I'm just shaking my head in pride that my daughter is having this conversation. And it's so surreal. It is just so surreal. And then she looks at me and she goes, "What do you think, Dan?" I go, "I think that's great, baby, but here's the thing. In order for you to do it legally, here's what you need to do. You could depending on how big you want to do it, you can have a hedge fund, or you can get a Series 3. Well, what's a Series 3? Well, it's a license that allows you to do exactly what you're talking about. And then I told her, but you know what? There's only about 1,000 people in the entire United States that actually have the Series 3 because it is the most difficult test that you will ever take, bar none, compared to anything else other than that. She goes, okay, I want to do that. I want to do that. I mean, it's just, but because she's being exposed, she's around it, she sees it. She gets up in the morning. She's learning the skill. She's doing what it takes.
She's seeing her sister do it.
She saw her sister do it.
Yeah.
She saw her sister do it. She saw her older sister, Daniela, who's now at the point where she's being asked to host, a call where women are coming to learn this skill. Not only has she impacted her sister, she's now going to be impacting other women.
And this is all a testament to results from Miss Roxy.
Yes, and this all comes back to Ms. Roxy Castellanos. That is the kind of value that we have in our membership. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous, guys. But forget the membership. The skill alone, the skill is what matters. So I don't know what excuses you bought into that have not allowed you to learn this skill. Is it, oh, I'm not technical, I don't know how to use a computer, I'm overwhelmed, I'm too tired, I can't wake up early, whatever it is. What lie have you bought into that is stopping you? So the example here, right? You can learn the skill. The other example is sales, trading, marketing. Now, let me ask you this. Do the opportunity offered at BYLD offer you an opportunity to learn a skill? Yes or no? Does it give you the opportunity to do sales? Yes or no? Does it give you the opportunity to learn trading? Yes or no? Does it give you the opportunity to learn how to market? Yes or no? It's yes, 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 yes. And this was not developed for this company. This training has nothing to do with BYLD. This is a general training on how to be able to become the person that can hold $1 million, that can get to $1 million, that can get to $1 million and beyond. Scale, multiply that value. Well, how do you do that? Teams. Can you build teams at BYLD? Do you have technology to assist you at BYLD? Do we have automation at BYLD? Guys, you need to understand that this was not made for BYLD. This training was not made for BYLD, but when I saw it, skill, scale, stewardship, oh my God. Do we have every single thing that's on the screen right now in the opportunity that brought all of us together? Do we have this in BYLD? The answer is yes. Stewardship. Are you kidding me? We have trainings in finance. We have trainings in credit repair. We have we have the Smart Money Club, for crying out loud. You want to talk about stewardship? It's already there. So you can manage what you earn, budgeting, reinvesting, tax. It's all in the Smart Money Club, guys. See, when I saw this, guys, this was a training for something else. This is a training that was not developed for our company. But when I saw it, are you kidding me? Boom, 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 boom. Every single point on the slide applies to everything that we currently have. And we're going to have more because it includes everything on this slide, but we already have more. So, the golden nugget. You can't multiply what you refuse to manage. Stewardship, guys, is so, so important. Learning to be able to grow and keep, well, first keep and then grow and multiply exponentially what you've made is super, super important. And so you can't multiply what you refuse to manage. All righty. So wrapping up here, becoming and belonging to the 1.5 or the 5%, either or, just depends on geography, where you live. 1.5 if you're a millionaire, you want to use the world stats, and 5% if you're in the US. You're still part of the elite, whether it's 1.5 or 5%, whichever sounds better to you. Oh, I'm part of the 1.5%. Then you're just talking about all the millionaires in the world, right? And we learned today there's about 58 million, about 24 million come from the United States. So by geography, by default, you already have, just by being in this country today, a 50% higher chance to acquiring the goal of becoming a millionaire. So thank God that you are in this country. Thank God that you were either born here or migrated here or whatever, but that you are here because your chances of becoming a millionaire just went up by 50% just because of where we live. A final bridge is always becoming the person who can hold millions. Not that you can have a bank account where you could receive them, or a crypto wallet where you could receive it. No. It's being able to hold it, right? And do something with that. Turn it into something else. $1 million is not what it was before, guys. Yeah, I mean, $1 million really isn't even enough. I mean, if you're my age and really just lived off the basics from just maybe my wife and I, me $1 million, maybe there's a country out there that we can retire at our age. Maybe I don't know.
With your expensive taste.
Oh my goodness. All righty. Key points, guys. Key points. Here's some takeaways, okay? Here's some takeaways. Wealth tests your character before it rewards your competence. Wealth tests your character before it rewards your competence. So I'll share this with you, and I know I'm going a little over here. We're almost at an hour, but I had a conversation with somebody, and this has nothing to do with BYLD, but it's an investor, and he's invested about 100,000 already into one of our companies, and he's like, Danny, I want to put another $100,000. I was like, okay. I mean, my first thought was, can you afford that? Right? And he goes, yeah, I can afford it. And I was like, okay. I just, I go, look, are you ready for, the X factor, right? Because everything has an X factor, right? You have something that's unforeseen that could happen. And in the case of this particular, I'm not going to get into the weeds of what the investment is about, but, it was, my thought process was, look, never invest more than you're comfortable with, right? And so he goes, no, I'm comfortable with it. I know the risks. I know all that. But this is what he asked me. He says, I've only met you through Zoom. And how can I trust you? That was his question today. He goes, how can I trust you? And I said, well, who actually, how did we get to talk? Because who was because I don't advertise, I don't do anything of that. Yeah, we don't advertise for any of this. So you had to have come through somebody that was close to me, because I only reached out to a very, very close knit group of people. And he goes, and so, however, whatever your proximity is to those people is what they're going to speak about my character. Right. And he goes, well, I came through a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. I'm like, okay, well, then that's meaningless then. Then you have to come from where you live, and we have to break bread, and we have to meet, and we have to do all this stuff, right? Because anything that I respond to that question, it's a loaded question, because everything that I respond is self-serving. It's self-serving. So we have to do life together. There are very few people that my wife and I, Carla, okay, that voice that has added that flavor and that color to tonight's presentation. Carla is she's the most amazing woman I've ever met. Absolutely amazing woman. But I got sidetracked as I started thinking about my wife, and I got sidetracked. I was about to say something brilliant, and I can't remember why I brought up this guy. Right, because of character, right? That group, that small group of people that we work with, that we worked with for many, many, many years. It's a very tight niche. And it's because there's that trust and that character and that integrity has always been there. And it isn't until then that your competence is rewarded. See, listen to what I'm saying. You have to be a person of character. Okay, you could be a character and not have character. Now I'm quoting an old movie, and if you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. But anyway, but that's when it rewards your competence. It's when your character is tested, and it has to be tested, folks. Okay, and that's when you become that person that can hold millions. When your character is at, what is it that you do when no one's watching? What is it that you do when no one's watching? What is it that you do when you put yourself at risk by doing the right thing? So do you do the right thing when it matters? When it could have an adverse effect to you? That's how character is tested. And once it's tested and you successfully pass the test, that's when your competence is rewarded. All right, the next key point here. Build systems before success. Whoops, what did I do here? Can you guys see my slides?
No.
What did I do? I don't know what I did. It went away. Hang on a second.
You need me to go there?
Probably, but I think I got it. But
Wait.
just in case, we're going to start all over again.
No.
And it's not showing up, is it?
No, it's not.
What happened? Is it there now?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But you go into presentation mode.
It'll go away when I go into presentation mode. I don't know why.
Go back and there you go.
All right. Good. All right. So, wealth test your character before it rewards your competence. Build systems before success, so the money has a place to land. Build systems before success. And I'm talking to me, folks. I'm talking to me right now. Okay. I remember the very first time I was in this industry, I met this gentleman that I would not, well, I'm not even going to tell you the name, but I met this gentleman, and he had some success in the industry. And I asked him, so what was it like for you to make your first million? Now, at the time, I think our best, at the time, my wife and I, were probably averaging between $25,000 to $40,000 a month in real estate. And that's when I got dragged. My wife and I got dragged kicking and screaming into this industry. I was enemy number one of network marketing until I told my wife, I think I want to do this network marketing deal. And then I found out that Carla was actually enemy number one of network marketing. But the question was, and I think you remember this, Carla, I asked was, what was it like making your first million?
Mm-hmm.
I asked my
Yeah.
up, right? What was it like making your first million? And do
he-
you remember what he said?
yeah.
Go ahead.
He said that, asked me how, no, you asked him, how did you make your first million? And he said, ask me how fast I lost it.
That's exactly what he was saying. That
Mhm.
was it. Ask me how fast I lost it.
He goes, the real question should be, how do you keep it? Mhm.
That's right. That's right. And so remember that thing about maturity? That maturity wasn't there yet, right? Motivation was there, but the maturity wasn't, right? And so build systems before success. And guys, I know this kind of feels backward, kind of the cart before the horse kind of thing. But you're thinking, well, why am I building these systems? I have nothing to put into them. Well, guess what? When the farmer goes and plants the seed, he doesn't know if he's going to have a crop, but he's got to plant the seed in order to have a harvest.
If you build it, it will come.
If you build it, it will come. And right now, we're going to build back better. So build systems before success so the money has a place to land. And those systems, folks, have to be strategic, have to be intentional, and have to be tested, right? So you don't have to figure all this stuff out. There's people that have done it already and can tell you, look, you do this, you do this, you do this. But you have to be coachable. You have to find a mentor. Find somebody that you trust, that you know, like, and trust. I got to work with people that I like. I have to. I'm too old to work for somebody or with somebody that I don't like. I don't care how knowledgeable he is. In our industry, we have that saying. It's kind of corny, but it's true. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So if I know this person doesn't care about me, I don't want his advice. And then I got to figure out, is this person really the right person to be giving the advice? Is he there? Or he's just regurgitating information that he learned somewhere, but is he there? Does he have what I want? Does that person have the success that I wish for myself and for my family and for my grandkids, my kids and my grandkids? And if the answer is no, I'm not going to listen to that person. Now, this one, folks, is really important. The space in between isn't empty. It's full of opportunity. The space in between isn't empty. It's full of opportunity. Now, what does that mean? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to tell you what it means. But I took some notes down. Took some notes. You know what? Because this is profound. I think this is probably one of the most profound parts of what we're talking about today. Our conversation here today. It's about the space between millions, in between millions, right? So the space in between isn't empty. It's full of opportunity. So let's take a look at this. Let's dive into this a little bit. The space in between refers to your waiting season. But you're not waiting passively. You're waiting not passively. What's the opposite of passively?
Active?
You're actively waiting. There we go. That sounds better. This is the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Between the vision and the manifestation. Between the dream and the result. Between the goal and the arrival. Many people misinterpret that space as delay, as failure, or nothing is happening. But in truth, that's where all the transformation occurs. What looks like waiting is really preparation. Wow. That's powerful. That in-between space is where growth happens. You're learning new skills. Remember, we talked about the skills. We talked about creating value. We talked about learning a new skill. We talked about the connections. In that in-between, in that waiting, in that delay, in that preparation, that's where the transformation happens. It's got to take its toll. It's got to take its time. It has to grow. Opportunity hides in the ordinary. This is a time when while you wait, you have time to refine a system. You have time to seek out a new mentor. You have time to create a product, a service, a podcast, whatever. But you have the time to do so. This is where you're going to learn emotional, psychological, entrepreneurial discipline. Each of those are an opportunity disguised as a delay. So the space in between, folks, is that time where you get to become the person that attracts those millions. So it's full of opportunity. If you have your eyes open, if you have your ears open, if you take down the walls, if you take down all of the things that are holding you back right now, that I guarantee you, 99% of them are in your mind. 99% of them are in your mind. Self-limiting beliefs. Strongholds. There's strongholds that need to be torn down. There has to be a renewing of the mind. Because, folks, the wind of change and the wind of opportunity blows on all of us. Jim Rohn said it best. It's not the blowing of the wind. It's the setting of the sails. In that in-between, in that time, in between your first million, or in between that time that you made millions, you lost millions, and now you're rebuilding millions. The same wind blows on all of us, whether it's your first million or this is a repeat or a three-peat for you. It's the setting of the sails. And the setting of the sails, folks, is those systems. You got to have those systems in place so the money has somewhere to land. So it's not the blowing of the wind, but the setting of the sails. Folks, that's my time. I hope you guys enjoyed this little training here today. I know it's meaningful to me because I've been there. I was on food stamps 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I was on food stamps. And guess what? I thought the success that we had in the past, here's what I thought, was luck. I go, oh my God, I just got lucky. I was in the right place at the right time and it was luck. And those thoughts in my mind, that bulletproof mindset, it cracked. It cracked through the armor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. How could this happen to me? How could it happen to us? See, when I met my wife, Carla, she was my boss. Okay? She was my boss. I leveled up. Okay? She was so far above anything that I had ever experienced before. Right? She was my boss. She's the most intelligent woman I've ever met. And I was doing all right. I was doing good. I was always number one wherever I was. And I walked into the company that she ran and I became number one within a month. Not only did I become number one of the company, I became her number one.
The one and only.
So together, whoo, man, we took off. So how does that turn into food stamps? A food stamp story. How did that even happen? And I can tell you all the reasons, or I can tell you all the excuses.
You got to be able to hold the millions.
You got to be able to hold the millions. And that level of maturity wasn't there yet. I could tell you all that. But here's the thing. We were in between. We were in that in between. I understand the in between. I understand in the in between not being able to feed my family. So I had to go and stand at the Department of Social Services to get on food stamps. I did that. And the worst thing was God was not done with humbling me. Because in that food stamp line, there was a gal that was my personal direct recruit that I had recruited into our first network marketing company, had watched me walk on stage making $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in a month, $80,000 in a month. And the same gal is in the line to get food stamps.
Mhm.
And there's no way to play that one off. There's no way to say, well, no, I'm just here to give an opportunity meeting with the social workers. They're waiting for me in the back. And, this is an opportunity. There's just no way to do that. So God was not done humbling me. And it wasn't until the point of 100% surrender. So I'm telling you right now, I don't know what you're going through. But if you're in that in-between space, surrender to the process. Get to that point of total surrender. And watch what happens. Watch what happens. Transformation happens.
And become a good steward.
And become a good steward. And be a blessing to other people. Guys, that's my time. Thank you so much. God bless you guys. Take care. And how many people here got some value out of today? All righty. Well, fantastic, guys. Love you guys. Just a quick reminder, on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a trading-only presentation. So we'll be doing the flyer for that. I'm just not sure exactly what time we're going to do it on Pacific time, but that is going to be for this Wednesday. So thank you once again. Good luck. Goodbye. Good night, and God bless.
Recording stop.